Okay, hear me out. So every couple days I like to do a video that's a little bit more lighthearted than the others. You know, something fun or interesting about history that's not as heavy. Today is one of those days. Remember a few days ago in the NASA video when I said to remind me about the time that the US blew a manhole cover into space? Well, today is the day. Let's talk about it. Okay, quick little backstory. December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy. Japan decides it wants to fuck around and find out and touches America's boats. See, up until this point in time, America didn't really want to be involved in World War II. We looked at it as, well, mostly a European problem. However, on December 8th, 1941, the U.S. changes its mind and decides, we ride at dawn, bitches. Fast forward a little bit, August 6th and August 9th of 1945, the U.S. decides to drop the sun on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So everything's all grand and good until about 1957. See, up until this point in time, we understood nuclear weapons, but really didn't understand nuclear weapons. See, in Soviet Russia at this time was kind of upgrading from a minor inconvenience to a fucking problem, so we should probably figure out how these things work, right? So in May 1957, the U.S. launches Operation Plum Bob. Officially, this was scientific tests of nuclear weapons in the Nevada desert. However, in reality, it was like America just found Dad's fireworks box in the garage, so let's go fuck around. So they grabbed a bunch of military members, some scientists, and a bunch of other people and went into the Nevada desert. And on May 28, 1957, Operation Plum Bob kicked off. And like a kid who found the fireworks, they started blowing shit up. Now, initially, the American people were like, it's okay, we understand. You got to understand how these things work, and we want to defend ourselves against Russia, so cool. However, after a little bit, the American people were like, yeah, we have some questions here. I mean, 1,000% honest with you, I can completely understand the issue here. So after some conversation with the American people, the U.S. government agrees to not blow up nuclear bombs on land, or in the air, or in the oceans. Now, while that should have ended Operation Plum Bob, I mean, it's good, we got our data, it's inconvenient, we wanted to blow some more shit up, but, you know, we're good. See, the U.S. government at this point decided to read the contract word for word. So we can't blow up nuclear weapons on land, in the air, or in the ocean, but nobody said we can't blow this shit up underground. So that's what they do. They dig a 500-foot deep hole and a loop tunnel underneath it to continue nuclear testing. You see, nuclear weapons are supposed to be set off in a very particular way. You have a primer that shoots a projectile of some kind into whatever it could be, uranium or plutonium, an isotope of such, which then creates a fission reaction, which then goes boom. And in theory, without following that process, these things shouldn't detonate. It's, you know, a safety feature. But we need to test this, right? So the test is to see if conventional weapons will actually set off a nuclear reaction and unleash the power of a star. Cover the hole with about 5 feet of concrete and put a small lid on top of it with a bunch of sensors and shit rigged up to it. Because again, this is for science. So on July 26, 1957, they set off the conventional weapon, which, surprise, surprise, actually causes the nuclear weapon to go off, instantly vaporizing the concrete and effectively turning the planet into one giant-ass Roman candle. So we're good, right? We did this. Conventional weapons will set off a nuclear weapon. We got our data. Everything's good. We're good. No, 2 weeks later, we do it again. Except this time, we're going to put 5 feet of concrete and weld a 2,000-pound refined steel cover over top of this hole. And just for good measures, we're going to put a high-speed camera facing the manhole cover with the speed set to 1 frame every 1,000th of a second. You see, we wanted to make sure we saw what happened to the 1-ton steel manhole cover should a conventional weapon set a nuclear weapon off again. And to quote a phrase from one of my favorite YouTubers, they have the bullet, they have the gun, now it's time to unleash the power of the sun. They set off the conventional weapon, which again, shocker, sets off the nuclear weapon. And now, here's where shit goes sideways. You see, we have the power of a nuclear weapon inside a sealed environment, which just vaporized 5 feet of concrete. So, quick science lesson. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's transferred. See, now you have the energy of a protostar that just vaporized concrete in a completely sealed environment. So naturally, it's going to find its way out through its weakest point. And let's take stock here. Well, you got the fucking planet, so that ain't moving. And a 1-ton steel manhole cover welded over top of it. Well, in this case, the manhole cover is the weakest link. Goodbye. So yet again, the US government turns the planet into a giant fucking Roman candle. However, when they went to look, the 1-ton steel manhole cover was missing. That's okay. We got a camera. We can find out what happened to it, right? Now, when they pulled the footage, they didn't see it. Which begs the question, where the hell did it go? So they slowed the tape down and found out that this manhole cover was only visible in one frame. That means it was visible for only 1/1000th of a second, which potentially could be a problem. Well, it's a bunch of dudes in the desert, so for science, how fast do you think it was going? Now, speed is calculated in distance over time. Problem here, there is no way to track distance over time because it was only visible for 1/1000th of a second. So the only thing they could do would be to calculate the minimum amount of speed required to only be visible for 1/1000th of a second. And after a few quick calculations, this equated out to 150,000 miles per hour. You had 1 ton of steel moving at 150,000 miles an hour. This is no longer the speed of Mach Jesus. This is the speed of fuck physics. So naturally, where did it go? Well, space is only about 60 miles up. And as far as we know, nuclear weapons don't vaporize refined steel. So the US government just created a poor man's warp drive, launching a 1-ton manhole cover into space. Funny thing, space is a vacuum. And according to Newton's third law, an object in motion stays in motion. So there is a very real possibility that somewhere out there in the galaxy, this manhole cover is still traveling at warp 1. I mean, could you imagine being some alien race just driving through the galaxy, no problem? All of a sudden, 2,000 pounds of refined steel comes traveling you at warp 3.2? Some aliens sitting there like, blur, what the fuck was that? Officially, Operation Plumb Bob ended on October 7th, 1957, because, well, we had gathered all the data we needed. Quick note, August 27th, 1957 is when we sent a manhole cover into hyperspace, and the first man-made object in space was Sputnik, didn't launch till October 4th, 1957. So there is a very real possibility that this 1-ton manhole cover was the first human-made object in space. So in conclusion, in 1957, the US decided it wanted to fuck around in the desert with some nuclear weapons, which in an underground test, which inadvertently created a ghetto warp drive, sending a 1-ton manhole cover at the speed of 150,000 miles an hour into space, potentially being the first man-made object to ever leave the planet. I couldn't make that shit up if I tried. And with that being said, thanks for watching. The best way to support me is to like, comment, or share this video. You can also go on to the link in my bio and check out my merch store. Hey, real quick, I need you guys to do me a favor. If you guys like these videos as much as I enjoy making them, if you could, would you please tag a creator in the comment that might enjoy watching them as well? If you don't, that's okay. I really actually do read all the comments on these. I love hearing from you guys. And if you have a suggestion for a video you'd like me to do, you can leave it there as well. And with that being said, be nice, be kind, be patient.